The knock at the door was gentle, almost courteous, but it still jolted my pulse. A single, measured tap that somehow felt heavier than noise alone. Even before I moved, Isabella's perfume slipped through the thin gap beneath the door, a familiar scent carrying an unspoken promise. She had always talked about wanting a daughter. And tonight, in some impossible way, I was meant to step into that role. I stood frozen in the center of the living room, wrapped in low lamplight and long shadows that stretched across the walls. Dresses were laid out with careful precision, heels lined in perfect order. It didn't feel like preparation anymore. It felt ceremonial. A private universe I'd assembled piece by piece, hidden behind the ordinary clutter of deadlines, grocery lists, and unanswered messages. In daylight I was Alex, reliable, routine, forgettable. But in these quiet nighttime hours, I became someone else entirely. Someone gentler. Braver in a fragile way. Someone I rarely allowed to exist beyond these walls. This wasn't a passing curiosity. It was exploration, a doorway into a self I'd kept locked away. And somehow, Isabella's half-joking wish for a daughter had turned that hidden truth into something immediate and real. The apartment felt charged, as if listening. My fingertips drifted across a blush-colored dress, silk whispering against my skin. It amazed me how fabric alone could shift the way a person felt. How lace and ribbon could reshape posture, stir courage, expose fear, and uncover emotions buried deep. Isabella had always anchored my world. Her laughter brightened my worst days. Her insight cut straight through my excuses. Her playful remarks often revealed how much she noticed. More than I ever admitted. Lately, though, something unspoken had been building between us. A pressure and expectation, and tonight it finally seemed ready to surface. She didn't just long for a partner beside her. She wanted a daughter before her, a living reflection of her own softness and strength. The idea settled heavily in my chest as I stood at the mirror. The face staring back was mine, yet it felt distant, like a version caught between truths. The thought of stepping into heels, of letting color and contour redraw my features, sent a nervous electricity through me, fear braided tightly with excitement. My heartbeat thudded in my ears, hands damp, breath shallow. Still, beneath the nerves, a quiet spark of anticipation refused to fade. I had circled this moment for longer than I wanted to admit. Tonight I would finally move beyond hesitation. The room itself seemed to lean in, shadows shifting, air thick with expectation. The wardrobe opened with a soft click. Fabric, perfume, and the distant murmur of the city merged into a charged stillness. I chose an outfit in gentle blush tones trimmed with lace. My fingers shook as I fixed each strap, each adjustment sending a ripple of adrenaline through me. The smile that appeared in the mirror was uncertain but real. This went deeper than appearance. It touched identity, vulnerability, trust. A boundary that, once crossed, would not simply reset. What if Isabella saw me like this? Would she laugh? Pull away? The worry knotted my stomach. Yet stopping felt impossible because the truth was undeniable. This wasn't only about her wishes. Somewhere inside I wanted this too. The release, the reinvention, the permission to exist differently, even briefly. If I could endure the tension, I might uncover something honest within myself. The heels were last, unstable yet strangely empowering. I stood, adjusting to the altered balance, every step more intentional than the last. My reflection looked unfamiliar but not false. My fingertips brushed my cheeks, feeling the smooth finish of careful work. Color on my lips, light in my eyes. I had never felt so visible or so alive. Then a sound cut through the moment. The lock in the hallway turned. I froze. Her fragrance drifted ahead of her, threading under the door like a signal. Around me, the neatly arranged clothes and cosmetics no longer looked like objects. They felt like tools of confession. Tonight would not pass quietly. Tonight I would step beyond the safe outline of the person everyone thought they knew. By daylight I am Alex. Organized, predictable, easy to overlook among screens and schedules. But behind closed doors lives another truth. One stitched from silk and lace, from whispered courage and transformation. Dressing this way isn't just escape. It is discovery. And without realizing it, Isabella had guided me straight to its threshold, chasing the dream of a daughter shaped from grace and femininity. In her playful but relentless way, she had slowly turned me into her project. Her living sketch, her experiment in possibility. It wasn't malice that drove her. It was curiosity pushed to the edge of fixation, a longing she never bothered to hide. And I, against better judgment, had agreed to step into the part she imagined for me. Tonight the apartment felt transformed. Dusk pressed against the windows, and the fading light reshaped the room into something unfamiliar. Corners deepened, shadows lengthened, and even the air seemed charged with expectation. Each footstep sounded too sharp, too present, echoing through the stillness. I traced my palms over the dress I'd chosen, pale pink, feather-soft, the fabric almost breathing beneath my touch. A chill traveled along my spine, woven from nerves and excitement alike. Isabella's laughter flashed through my mind, bright, cutting, musical, capable of comforting or undoing me in the same breath. She didn't know what tonight might reveal. Still, she was everywhere in it, in the restless rhythm of my pulse, in the thoughts I couldn't quiet, in the anticipation that made my hands tremble. The heels by the door stood like a challenge, graceful and uncompromising, inviting me to stand taller, become bolder. The first stroke of makeup crossed my skin, light, careful, both strange and deeply personal. This wasn't decoration alone. It was embodiment. A shift in presence. A role that lived in the narrow space between exposure and strength. When I looked up, the mirror startled me. The figure reflected there looked refined, almost fragile, yet unmistakably mine. Not replaced, revealed. A self suspended between identities, neither side fully willing to retreat. A faint sound from the hallway snapped my focus. I stilled, breath caught halfway. She was getting closer. My heart raced as I straightened the hem of the dress again and again, chasing perfection. The apartment no longer felt like shelter. It felt like a spotlight. One wrong move could bring everything into the open. I pictured her, her natural poise, her unthinking confidence, unaware of the truth unfolding just beyond her reach. The thought twisted inside me, fear and hope mixing into something dizzying. Would she see me, truly see me and stay? Would she accept me completely without conditions, if she saw me like this? Or would the truth tear apart the careful picture we'd built together? I lowered the wig into place, adjusting it strand by strand until it framed my face just right. The sensation was oddly charged, like static beneath my skin. My fingertips traced the hairline, a small grounding habit, reminding me how delicate the illusion really was. Then came the heels, lifting not just my height but my awareness, sharpening every sound, every breath, every heartbeat. I studied myself once more before surrendering fully to the role. Warm light shaped my features. The softened lines, the colored lips, the graceful fall of fabric. I felt paradoxical in every way. Hidden yet revealed, ordinary yet striking, frightened yet alive. This wasn't dress-up anymore. It was disclosure. A step across a boundary that didn't easily reverse. The front door clicked open. Isabella was home. Her presence filled the space instantly, like pressure before a storm. I wasn't prepared, but preparation no longer mattered. Anticipation tangled with dread, reminding me that tonight would confront every secret I'd kept buried. Her footsteps moved closer, and I knew the evening would redraw everything. When the door shut behind her, the apartment no longer felt like shelter. It felt like a stage under siege. Shadows overlapped along the walls like silent witnesses. My pulse surged. This wasn't just clothing, it was confrontation. My reflection felt like both challenger and companion. I slipped the dress fully into place, silk gliding over my shoulders, sensation intense and almost overwhelming. The mirror showed a softer silhouette, unmistakably mine yet newly expressed. The contrast squeezed my chest tight. Was I still the same Alex, or someone emerging at last? I settled the wig more carefully, hands slightly unsteady when a loose strand brushed my cheek. One small flaw could unravel everything. I braced myself against the vanity and breathed slowly, trying to quiet the hammering in my ribs. The heels changed my posture, my rhythm, every step now deliberate. From the kitchen came the faint sound of Isabella humming. My stomach knotted. Did she suspect anything? The question sent a chill through me. My thoughts scrambled for explanations, distractions, defenses, but beneath them pulsed a dangerous hope. Part of me wanted to be seen. Not caught, seen. I examined the mirror with ruthless focus. The makeup had shifted more than features. It changed expression, presence, energy. My gaze looked wider, my face gentler. This wasn't disguise, it was acknowledgement. A soft floorboard creak made me turn sharply. She was nearer now. I held the dress close, steadying myself, catching only a hint of her movement at the edge of the mirror. I forced a slow inhale, smoothing the fabric, aligning each detail, and a startling realization surfaced. I had never felt more awake. Risk sharpened everything: sensation, emotion, truth. Her footsteps approached again. I froze. A hairpin slipped from my fingers and tapped against the floor, loud as thunder in my ears. I retrieved it carefully, every motion controlled, every breath measured. The mirror no longer showed a costume. It showed duality, guarded and daring, fragile and bold. Each small adjustment, a touch to my cheek, a tilt of the wig, felt like a quiet act of defiance against the simpler version of myself I showed the world. Then she entered the living room. Her steps slowed. I felt her attention before I met her eyes, the subtle alertness, the sense that something had shifted. I tested a careful step forward, letting the dress move naturally, willing calm into my posture despite the storm inside me. The wig brushed my cheek again. I stilled. Her eyebrow lifted slightly, curiosity sparked. I adjusted it with practiced ease, aware that every object around me, the fallen pin, the trembling decor, the whispering silk, had become part of a fragile high-stakes performance where composure was everything. I let a smile surface, unsteady, involuntary, balanced between fear and exhilaration. It felt like walking a wire stretched high above consequence. This wasn't just dressing differently anymore. It was facing a truth I'd kept buried and daring to hope that acceptance might meet me on the other side. If not from the world, then at least from Isabella. Beyond the tall arched windows, the gala shimmered in scattered gold light. Voices and laughter drifted through distant corridors, heels striking stone in bright, careless rhythms. But here, in this quiet stretch of hallway, everything narrowed to a single point: me and the change I was brave enough to inhabit. The blush-colored gown followed every movement, silk whispering with each step. My heels tapped against marble, too loud, too revealing. Each echo felt like a confession. I brushed my palm down the fabric, steadying myself as nerves surged. Secrets I'd hidden for years pressed upward, demanding air. An ornate mirror caught my reflection. Polished, composed, dangerously convincing. The styled hair, the careful makeup, the softened lines, all precise. Yet behind the elegance I could still see Alex. Tense, watchful, aware that one slip could undo the entire illusion. Footsteps sounded in the corridor, measured, approaching. I shrank back into the shelter of a column, letting shadow cloak me. I had chosen this wing for privacy. Fate disagreed. Balance wavered on the narrow heels. One mistake would mean questions, stares, exposure. I smoothed the hem again, grounding myself in the feel of the silk, in the strange strength hidden inside vulnerability. A guard appeared at the far end, making his rounds. I held still, breath thin, body aligned with the pillar's edge. Reflections doubled beneath me in the glossy floor, two selves side by side, cautious and daring. Then Isabella's voice carried softly through the hall, calling my name. Every muscle locked. My hand brushed a small silver piece on a nearby table. It rocked, nearly falling, and time seemed to slow to fragments. I caught it just in time, pulse roaring in my ears. The moment sharpened everything: risk, identity, desire, defiance. This was no longer about concealment alone. It was about choosing how fully to exist. Curtains pooled beside me like a hiding place and a threshold at once. I felt the protective disguise and the fragile honesty beneath it. Isabella moved closer, perception written in her posture. I sensed she knew something was different, not what, but enough. A phone rang. The tension cracked. She turned away to answer, granting me a breath-sized window of choice: disappear or be seen. I looked at my reflection, poised, exposed, alive, and stepped forward. The heels clicked once, clean and deliberate, a small announcement of presence. The dress shifted like a blush of light. I did not run. She turned back. Our eyes met through the mirror's frame. Surprise flickered across her face, followed by something unreadable: curiosity, calculation, maybe recognition. The instant stretched thin as glass. A call from the corridor drew her attention again, pulling her away, but nothing reset. Nothing returned to safety. I retreated into the curtain's shadow, breath uneven, understanding at last. The night had crossed its point of return. The truth stood waiting. And when she came back she would see me, completely, and whatever followed would change us both.